Israel would have my full backing to finish the job of destroying the threat of Hamas. But I hope that we're going to have a deal for peace. And if Hamas rejects the deal, which is always possible, they're the only one left. Everyone else has accepted it. But I have a feeling that we're going to have a positive answer. But if not, as you know, Bibi, you'd have our full backing to do what you would have to do.
An historic day at the White House yesterday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accepting President Trump's 20-point peace plan to end the war in Gaza. The plan includes an immediate ceasefire and disarming of Hamas, giving Hamas 72 hours to release all of the hostages, dead or alive. Israel would also release 250 prisoners and 1,700 Palestinians detained after October 7th. Israeli troops would withdraw from the region, allowing humanitarian aid to flow into Gaza consistently. While Palestinians will not be expelled from Gaza, a board of peace will be created, headed by President Trump and former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, until the Palestinian Authority is in a position to take over. Joining me now is Fox News senior strategic analyst. He is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane, back with us. General, great to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Give us your reaction to the president's plan.
Well, it's very significant, it's comprehensive, and it's also complicated. But the reality is that what makes this plan different is two things. One, there's no partial release of hostages, which is something Hamas has always wanted. And two, it's a war termination deal. It brings an end to the conflict in Gaza. And that is something that the president insisted on, those two features. All the hostages released, and number two, we're going to end the war. And he's got the buy-in from all the major countries in the region. Obviously, Iran was not asked, and also from Israel. And what remains is Hamas. And what's the incentive here for Hamas to make the deal? They've always said no in the past. Well, there's a couple of things that are different. One, the president, and you played the tape there, that's central to this deal, is that if Hamas doesn't take the deal, then Israel is going to finish them, and the President of the United States is giving them his full support to do that. That is certainly a pressure point on Hamas. Also, if Hamas accepts the deal and then reneges on disarming some weeks from now, then Israel will go in and finish it with the full support of the President of the United States. And the other thing dealing with Hamas, they're not the same organization, obviously, they were on October the 7th, Maria. They're down around the third tier of leadership with what has been killed there. And secondly, most of their fighters, some 20,000 of them, have been killed. They still have thousands of fighters. A lot of them are young teenagers. There's still some experienced fighters, but they're not the majority. So this is a very different organization. It's weakened at the leadership level. It's weakened at the fighting level already. Is that sufficient motivation for these guys to make the deal? Because Netanyahu's guaranteeing that they'll get out of there free and they'll go to a country of their choosing, and Israel will guarantee that they will get there and will not chase them down after. He's made a public declaration to that. We don't know the answer to that. What we do know is they've always said no in the past, despite the attractiveness of the deal. And this one is very attractive to them. It remains to be seen what's going to happen here. Hopefully, like everyone else, we would like them to see, yeah, okay, we're going to make a deal. It's in their interest to make it. They're going to survive it. And it's certainly in the region's interest to get this thing stabilized once and for all.
General, how will we know that the Palestinian Authority is reformed and ready to lead? What do you make of this board of peace governing Gaza until the Palestinian Authority is ready to govern?
Well, the Palestinian Authority is not going to govern. That has never been on the table. They would participate in a committee that's going to overlook it. So we're attaching too much to that. Now, the Israelis were opposed to anybody from the Palestinian Authority being involved in that committee. Why? Because for 25, 30 years, they're fundamentally corrupt, because they support Hamas, because they supported October the 7th, because every time a suicide bomber from the West Bank, under the supervision of Mahmoud Abbas, kills Israeli citizens, they get a martyrdom reward for their families, and they're anointed with pictures all over the place. So they don't want them to have any part of this, and they're corrupt. So they have to reform, quote, reform. Well, they can't reform overnight with evidence. Their participation in this is at some distance, even then, based on the condition that they must reform and the evidence has to be there. Okay. That was a concession made to the Israelis because the Israelis objected to them for being on the committee, not running anything, being on the committee because of their corruption in the past and the fact that they've always supported Hamas.
Yeah, and I understand that. Let me move on to Russia.
After certainly military targets that are sustaining the war. And when we restrain ourselves, what we provide to the Russians is a sanctuary. It's a no-fire zone when we restrict our use of those weapons, and Russia knows it, and it gives them, freedom to do as they see fit here and not have to put troops there to protect those capabilities, and those troops could all go to the forward lines. So I know for a fact that there are use of these weapon systems.
Yeah.
Getting to the point that you're making here about Russia's expansion, we have to be clear out about what Russia is really doing here. They took a major strategic step. Remember, their objectives are take control of Ukraine, expand into Eastern Europe. And they have begun to set the conditions, Maria, right before our eyes to expand into Eastern Europe. And you ran the table on it.
Yeah.
Poland, Romania, Estonia. It's not known about Denmark whether that was Russian or not. But the other three, it's indisputable. And what is he doing? He's testing them. One, to see what their response is. Two, to see what their resolve and will is. Are they willing to confront him? We've got to be willing to confront them. If they fly into sovereign space, they should be shooting those systems down. Those are war capabilities violating the space of a sovereign country.
Yeah.
Putin is not reckless. He is ruthless. This is a deliberate move on his part to weaken these countries and weaken the United States support for it. We've got to see this is a major strategic step that he's taken. And the Europeans have got to stop it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is serious. General, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for your analysis. Always perfect.
Yeah.
Jack Keane joining us this morning.